Usually I don't make regular old cookies in my kitchen, but I recently realized that it is a great way to use up broken or weird or abnormally shaped macaron shells. So let's dive in to this sprinkle sugar cookie recipe with macaron shells. As I mentioned, it's a great way to use up shells that didn't quite turn out well, but if you have any shells that are especially moist, I don't necessarily recommend that. So if you have an underbaked batch, this might not be the best recipe. It's better if you have the, crispy or a little bit more normal texture to them. So I'm just going to break these up in pieces. You can break them apart with your fingers or with a knife. And then I'm going to go into making my normal sugar cookie dough. I'm starting off with some butter that is of course at room temperature, and then I'm adding in both regular and dark brown sugar. Because of the sweetness of the macarons, I base this recipe off of a Milk Bar Christina Tosi sugar cookie recipe, but I did reduce the sugar a bit because of the additional sweetness coming in from the macaron shells. I'm going to cream the butter and sugars here together. If you don't do a ton of baking, when you want to cream the butter and sugar, you don't just want to combine it. You definitely want to beat it for a couple of minutes until it starts looking fluffy and not just like one big lump in the bowl. After that, I just scrape down the sides of my bowl here before adding in my egg and some extract. All I showed here was vanilla, but I actually did add a bit of almond extract as well. And depending on how you like your sugar cookies or how you want to adapt this recipe, you could add in any extract you want. I have all the dry ingredients here. I'm adding in the flour and then the baking powder, baking soda, salt, all of that in here in just one big addition, and then beating on slow just until that is combined and all incorporated. After this is incorporated, I'm going to first add in my sprinkles, and I tried to sort of more or less color match the macaron shells I was adding with the sprinkles I was adding. And because I don't want to completely 100% pulverize the macaron shells, I decided to add in the sprinkles first and then the macarons, but you could totally dump them all in at the same time. Depending on if you want really large pieces of macarons or if you want them to basically become part of the batter, you can mix for a longer or shorter time. You can break them up more or less. That is completely up to you. I really liked using the macaron shells that were kind of purple, red, pink kind of colors here. I think they mixed in really well into this sugar cookie vibe wise. So just a hint that either you might want to consider what color of broken shells you're using and maybe balance that by making a chocolate cookie if they're a really dark or weird color, or I don't know, you might want to just change up the flavor vibe here. So I just used an ice cream scoop to make these heaping balls. I wanted really large cookies for these sugar cookies, so I am just going to then use my hands to smooth those out a little bit. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I wanted them to be a little bit more normally shaped, which is why I am doing this step. Now you could just end here, and this is a dough that you definitely want to refrigerate for at least an hour before using, but I decided that I wanted to put some additional macaron pieces and sprinkles on the top, which turned out to be an amazing idea. So I highly recommend this. And also it's another great way to use up additional macaron pieces. This was all of the dough from this recipe, and I did actually use a decent amount of macaron shells, so this is a really, really great way to repurpose those broken and abnormally shaped shells. When they had rested in the refrigerator for an hour, though you certainly could go longer or even freeze these, then it was time to bake them. They spread out quite a bit in the oven and then kind of deflated. This cookie recipe is like really nice and crispy all on the outside, but the inside is still like just a little bit soft. Honestly, it was really good. I was kind of worried when I saw the appearance, but it tastes just like a really classic sugar cookie. You have this really nice additional crunch from some of those larger macaron pieces inside. Yeah, just totally a winner of a cookie in my book. This was the first time I played around with this exact recipe. Again, it was one that I adapted from a Christina Tosi recipe. I might fiddle with this recipe a bit more in the future. I don't think it's quite perfect yet with this adaptation, but I really loved it and I highly recommend you try this out if you have some macaron shells that you don't want to throw in the trash. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you try it out, make sure to tag me on Instagram. If you're not already following me, you can find me at Maddie Brame. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube. I have a ton more recipes coming your way, including a bunch of other how to use leftover, broken, wrong macaron shells. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.